What if the Bible's most terrifying monsters weren't monsters at all? Pay close attention to this detail. For centuries, their name has echoed through theology and exploded across pulpits, books, movies, and viral videos: the Nephilim. The problem is, the Bible never actually explains them the way most people assume it does. Stop for a moment and consider what this means for you and for the generations coming after you. That single gap has fueled endless speculation. We've been chasing giant hybrids, hidden DNA, and Hollywood-level fantasy for generations. But when you return to the original Hebrew, the text quietly reveals something far more ancient, far more dangerous, and far more relevant to our world today. Raw power, moral collapse, and what it truly means to fall. In this investigation, we're not declaring final answers. We're going straight back to the source, stripping away layers of tradition and translation. The surprising thing is not what the Nephilim were, but how little certainty the text actually gives us. And what it does say might hit closer to home than you expect, especially in a world still hungry for power. Have you ever truly considered this implication? Everything we think we know rests on just 4 short verses in Genesis 6. Listen carefully. Now it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born to them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not strive with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Sit with that. Read it again slowly. And if you read it with an open heart, something becomes profoundly uncomfortable. It doesn't actually describe the thing everyone is arguing about. No mention of half-angels, no hybrid creatures, no grotesque features or towering height. The text simply notes that the Nephilim were on the earth, and these were the mighty men of old, men of renown. The connection is there, yet the dramatic explanation most people expect is strikingly absent. The Hebrew focuses on power and reputation, Had Gibborim, the mighty ones, and men of the name, rather than biology or supernatural origin. This is where the Bible stops speaking with absolute clarity, and interpretation steps in to fill the silence. What would you have done if you had only these verses? One dominant traditional view has shaped popular imagination, the ancient supernatural reading. Here, the sons of God are rebellious angels who descended, took human wives, and produced hybrid giant offspring. 2 strong alternatives push back. The moral lineage reading sees the sons of God as the righteous line of Seth, and the daughters of men as the ungodly line of Cain. The real issue is spiritual compromise through intermarriage. The Nephilim remain fully human. The political power readings views the sons of God as powerful human rulers and kings who claimed divine status, seized women by force, built harems, and ruled through violence. Their offspring become warlords and tyrants, still entirely human. The text itself never chooses between these readings. It never settles the question for us. That silence is more important than many realize. Pay close attention here. The word is Nephilim, Nephilim. Its root is the Hebrew verb npl, to fall. To fall. That's the entire linguistic weight behind the name, and everything we just discussed is actually orbiting this single root. Two powerful meanings emerge. First, the fallen ones, those who fell from righteousness, from status, or in battle. Second, and this is the idea worth slowing down for, those who cause others to fall, the fellers, the active agents who drag society downward through tyranny, aggression, and oppression. They become the primary drivers of Hamas, the violence and injustice that fills the earth before the flood. Imagine that. The very name doesn't point to their size or their DNA, it points to the damage they left behind. They didn't just fall, they made the whole world fall with them. You can almost feel the weight of a society crumbling under the pressure of unchecked power. What does this mean for your children and grandchildren if the same patterns repeat? The entire conversation shifts. We move from speculative genetics and size to character, behavior, and repeating patterns of corruption. But the real shock is not what the word means, it's how early that meaning started to shift. In the ancient Septuagint translation, one likely interpretive decision was to render Nephilim as gigantes. In Greek mythology, the gigantes were rebellious, powerful beings who challenged the gods. Over centuries, that nuance flattened, and giant became the dominant image. And once that word shifted, the imagination did the rest. What began as interpretation slowly hardened into a parallel narrative tradition. Genesis 6 acts like a literary black hole, brief, cryptic, and irresistibly magnetic. The Book of Enoch dramatically expands it with 200 watchers, giant children who devour resources and humanity, and forbidden knowledge that accelerates total corruption. But here's the critical distinction most viewers miss. Enoch is historically influential and even quoted in Jude, yet it is not canonical scripture. This difference keeps us grounded in what the biblical text actually says. Centuries later, in Numbers 13, 10 fearful spies deliver what the Bible calls a bad report. We saw the Nephilim there. The sons of Anak come from the Nephilim, and we seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and so we seemed to them. Some take this literally. Others see emotional rhetoric in a moment of crisis. The name didn't describe what they saw. It described what they feared they saw. These men weaponized ancient legend through exaggeration and fear. This shows the legend's lasting cultural power and connects to later mighty warriors like the Anakim, who appear in the time of Goliath. After clearing the layers, a clearer picture grounded in the text emerges. The Nephilim were figures of real power and lasting renown, the mighty men, men of the name. Their name, rooted in fall, directs attention toward character more than physical traits. They represent either a fallen generation or, more impactfully, those who caused others to fall through violence and unchecked authority. The strongest textual and historical readings allow for fully human warlords and tyrants. No angelic biology required. No need to explain mythic giants surviving the flood. What remains is more sobering. Human nature, when given power without restraint, producing widespread violence and systemic injustice until society itself began to collapse. Here is the concrete payoff. The Bible does not give us a detailed definition of the Nephilim's origin. Instead, it clearly shows their impact and the dangerous pattern they represent: power without restraint, renown without righteousness, and a society collapsing under its own violence and injustice. The Hebrew root to fall is not just a name. It is a warning about a recurring human pattern. The mighty rise. They cause others to fall, and eventually, everything breaks. This is why Jesus said the days before his return would be like the days of Noah. In our time, the real danger has never needed angels or genetic hybrids. It only needs humans with power and no accountability to God. The pattern is timeless. The Nephilim are not just ancient mystery. They are a mirror, a warning about the pattern we see repeating in every generation, including our own. Watch the pattern. That is the clear message the text delivers. Have you discerned this implication for your own life and legacy today? I'm curious how this lands for you. Drop your thoughts below, especially if this changed how you see power and corruption in our day. If this strengthened your understanding and resolve, share it with someone asking the same questions. Perhaps a son, daughter, or grandchild who needs this truth. Thank you for walking through this with me. Keep questioning. Keep exploring. Keep